Hey guys, Zach here. I just wanted to clarify something with a quick announcement because this episode might be on the top of your feed and you may have clicked on it by accident. So I just want to make sure you know what this is. This is our downtime episode that we typically release on Patreon, reacting to season 2, episode 34, which is the season 2 finale. So if this is at the top of your feed and you clicked on this but haven't listened to season 2, episode 34, please stop right now. Go listen to that episode first, and then you can come back here and hear us react to the season finale. So yeah, just wanted to make sure you didn't accidentally stumble into any major spoilers. We were very satisfied with how the season 2 finale ended, so I'm just excited for you guys to listen to it and then come back here and hear us react to it. Also, just since I'm doing an announcement right now, I also want to say we are going on break after this, but if you want more content, there are all of our downtimes still on Patreon, all of the metacasts, some of the live streams we were able to record. And also we are starting the new Patreon campaign, which is an anthology series set in Caldora. But I have the flexibility of jumping around the timeline and telling isolated stories. And I've really been able to expand on Caldora's lore through that, which has been really, really fun. The first one of those I plan to release July 1st. And I plan to release them on the first Tuesday of every other month. And they're like very long episodes. They're usually 2 hours. And then I also release a bonus episode basically of just me talking about all the lore in the episode and like my thought process for designing it if you're interested in that sort of thing as well. And just a heads up, I will be releasing previews of those episodes on this main feed. So whether you're a patron or not, you will get to experience at least about maybe the first 20 minutes or so of the actual adventure, you know, like cutting out the intro and things like that, just to give you some context of what the adventure might be like. So you can sort of get a feel for what they're like without having to, you know, pay for it before you know. But I got to say, I've fully completed 2 of them, and they're some of the best stuff we've ever made. I really, really enjoyed them, and I already know what I'm doing for the 3rd one. Very excited about them. They all have little ties to the main story and characters in them, and you'll see some familiar faces, some new faces, and it's really, really fun. So very excited to share that with you guys. So I will put that on this feed, a preview of it on July 1st. So keep an eye out for that while you're on this break. And yeah, enjoy.
Mortals and portals. Mortals and portals. Mortals and portals. Mortals and portals.
Hello, and welcome to the Downtime edition of Mortals and Portals, where we react to the most recent episode, which is Season 2, Episode 34, in which you guys hashed it out with Balthazar. He told you a bunch of lore, and you guys had to decide if you were willing to become keepers together. So, yeah, okay.
That was an intense conversation.
It was.
Yeah.
It really was.
Both in game and out of game.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what all will make in the episode, but yeah.
I'll say up front that I didn't really know which way things were going to go with Tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like up until this point, it was basically, I was like, Tough is probably not going to want to be with the group. Like, I don't see how he's going to be able to trust and all this kind of stuff. Right. And then as that conversation was going on and he's realizing, well, I'm not going to become a keeper unless I try. I had a turning point where I was like, okay, maybe Tough will try to make this work sort of thing. And then like all the points that were brought up were great. Like all the stuff Waltz was saying and everything was like awesome. And then to have Balthazar ultimately be like, okay, yeah, I'm like provoking this basically, like this isn't going to happen. I thought that was just like such an awesome, like it makes total and 100% complete sense that it happened that way. And so then Tough ended up not being a part of the group and like is going to go off and do whatever anyway, but in a completely different way than I like expected it to happen.
Dude, totally. I felt
same.
bad. Like I was like, damn, like, am I ruining this for Ryan?
No,
like,
quick,
I was like,
quick,
I don't mean
really
to,
quick
bro.
Background. I called Ryan yesterday before we played and I said, hey, just so you know, tomorrow I'm probably going to spring something on you and don't feel like you have to pick any one way or the other. And that's all I said to him.
So what was the spring thing?
The spring is that like, do you forgive him? Otherwise, you're not a keeper. Like,
oh, yeah.
That's what that was. I was like, I didn't want you to think like your character had to forgive him. I was just going to see how it went. And I was trying to uphold Balthazar's perspective. If I had him say a bunch of stuff about how important this is, and then he's like, well, I guess you'll try, and then like give it to you, that wouldn't have made sense. And there's still the open door of like, well, you know where to find me if you change your mind. And that's all that is.
And I feel like it adds, to Tough's arc too, where it's like, yeah, like totally makes sense that there's still a lot of like anger and hate, but it just seems like, at least for Waltz, the role of, or like the flip of a coin on like how it plays out, you know what I'm saying? But I hope that wasn't like, I hope I didn't come across like rude or anything or make you have a bad time with how like Waltz was feeling.
No, like I thought like all that stuff totally made sense. And ultimately it's like exactly how Balthazar ended up feeling about it too. So I thought that was all like really good.
That was the problem. Like everyone was justified.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Right.
And
We
it's
were
like,
like stuck in this loop. And that's why Balthazar just made the call.
I think
Right.
we realized it was just a timing thing. Like ultimately, like we couldn't fault Tough for like not being ready
no, definitely not.
to get to that level
Mhm.
because it had still recently happened. But like we're here now and like we got to do this thing because stuff's happening. It was just unfortunate timing.
Yeah.
But
Because
no,
it-
sorry,
ahead.
go on. Go ahead. I'm just super excited right now because this is a crazy episode, but go ahead.
It's hype, yeah. Because like even in my mind, as Tough was going over to help Dax up, I was like, you know, I could keep going, like say yes, Tough is gonna like try to do this trusting thing or whatever, but there was still a part of me that said after whatever happens where we become keepers, Tough might just be like, now that I got the powers of the keeper, I'm gonna go do this on my own and like figure it all
and
out.
that's exactly
100%.
What he was afraid of.
Waltz was
Yeah,
what Waltz was
absolutely.
afraid of. Yeah.
So that's why like I was so like I don't know, like blown away by how that ended up happening. Cause I was like, holy crap, that was like the right call. Because even I was thinking Tough might be like, yeah, no, screw this. Actually, I don't trust you guys, you know?
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But
Yeah.
it's like, it's playing out. So like, holy shit, what an episode, dude. Like,
Yeah, it was good.
I love like how you played it and like you stuck to your guns like this whole time, which I'm very glad you did.
No,
you know?
too. Joel said in the episode that it was like Waltz was like holding by his convictions. And I thought it
Right.
made for a really, really good story.
Yeah, you're right, Ryan. I probably cut it, but yeah, it was kind of the first time that we've seen Waltz have conviction in something that isn't like positive, isn't yes-anding.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool to see that he like cared enough about it being a good idea.
Because he's normally so hopeful and
Right.
like sees the good in people and expects like them to do the right thing and expects the best from them.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty significant for Walt to be like, hold on, this is a little bit bigger picture than even I'm cool with,
Mhm.
you know.
Yeah, no, it was definitely like, I think for some reason, he just felt like the weight, you know what I mean? It's like, no, like,
Right.
I mean, this is a huge decision and
Yeah.
like we have to get this right, you know? We have to be like
Yeah.
100% sure because it's not something that you could just gamble. But sorry, go on.
I was even just gonna make the joke that like Waltz kept trusting Galdir, but like didn't trust Tough in this scenario. But you're right, it's because of the weight like of this decision that it's like,
Yeah.
and he's being really thoughtful about it.
Especially after like the history of like what Balthazar shared of this has happened before and it wasn't good. Like first
Right,
it happened
yeah.
with Droga and then it happened with Gotham. And it was like you were already saying things that you would expect Gotham to say. So right away you got on Balthazar's radar when you're like, well, why don't we just do the like Elder Blade? And he's like, did you not hear what I said? Like this thing corrupts and it's not just about getting the most power. Like you don't just bully your way to rule Keldora or whatever. Like he's just seeing the seeds of what could make you become someone like Gotham.
Yeah, but
Mhm.
even if he did, like that would be so cool if like Tough like had, even if he did like turn into like an angry, like he would be justified in his own mind. Well,
Yeah.
in everyone's mind, really, like it'd be kind of like Thanos, where like a lot of people are like, yeah, like I get it, dude. Like he 100% has a lot of good points, you know. But that would be a kind of a fun way for.
Well,
it to play out,
that's
too.
even kind of something I tried to convey about Gotham, where one of the first things Balthazar said about him was like, he accomplished a lot of good things as a keeper. Like he did.
Right.
And also even like talking to Raul's like, hey, we're making a decision nobody should have to make. Kill one world to save 6 more or spare the one and risk losing them all. And he's
Yeah.
just like, but I'm just making the one that I know. And that's like, so obviously Gotham is making that same choice. So Gotham is just like a little bit more, I mean, he's cutthroat, but he, like he said to Droga in the end, was like, I'm upholding my oath always. So like they're all justified in their own head.
Yeah,
And it's not like you're that far off. And that's why when Balthazar is talking to Tough, he's like, this is serious. Like I can't, like you saying I'm willing to try isn't enough for Balthazar. It might be enough for like Dax or Jules, and it wasn't for Waltz, but Balthazar's like, there's a reason the keepers instilled a additional check than they normally did. And there's like, so it's kind of part of the whole, the riddle you got of like only together.
Mhm.
Like they're like, all of you need to go to Balthazar and Balthazar needs to see how you like work together. So you guys first had to try and like save Nisserine together. And if you could do that, that's like, okay, they can work together. But like once they're under the pressure of being a hero, what happens? And then Balthazar, he said, I'm a simple man and my final test is to just have a discussion over stew. And he learned all he needed to know about you guys. And he's like, well, I'm not giving you this power under this circumstance. He says it would be better for your mark to be lost forever than for you to become a keeper with hate in your heart.
Mhm.
And so like I had to stay true to him saying that. So when you guys are all kind of like, this is how I feel, this is how I feel, and they didn't align, then Balthazar just made the call, you know? And I didn't really know what was going to happen. I was ready for anything, but
Yeah, no, it was cool. And it's kind of cool that like we all, I mean, I think it makes sense. Like we all kind of have a little bit different definition of like trust or what it means to like have that trust. Cause like Jules is completely justified where it's like, no, like I know Tough. I know him. So I know like he'll come through if like we need it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, Jules is having a really tough
Dude,
time
Jules is
with
going
this.
through it, huh?
A little bit. Like he definitely feels a lot of guilt. Like I mentioned, just feeling like he's now left Tough behind when he like just told him like he would never leave him behind. And in a way, like he hasn't
Right.
because
Right.
he hasn't given up hope on him. He still plans to like try to track him down and
Yeah.
like, find him or something, but like he's not like separated himself from him. But he also feels like he kind of also just did that by going through with becoming a keeper without him. But he feels such a strong responsibility because he himself is ready in that sense. But then there also might be a little bit of doubt there on whether he's ready or not because he's like, this isn't resolved, if that makes sense.
Dude,
It's like,
yeah.
am I going to be too distracted? Is my friendship and my brotherhood with Tough too strong that like, am I going to be able to make the right call?
Dude.
Like if something happened and I had to choose between Zach, don't get any freaking ideas. If I had to choose between Tough or like saving something important, like, am I going to
That's your
choose
best
that or am I going
friend.
to choose Tough? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like that's my best bud.
Dude,
So like,
in thinking back to like your origins and before we knew who Ryan was going to play next after Ryu died, and like I just think of that song, It's Been a Long Day.
yeah.
You know, thinking back to like
Yeah.
the first time where like Tough was introduced in
Yeah.
Jules' origin, and then when he was introduced into like the main story, and then everything that's happened like up to this point has been like super cool, and it's like it's been a ride with you, and you two like always play together so freaking well, you know. So like it's been super, yeah. What a ride this was,
Yeah.
Aren't we lucky we have it all recorded so we can listen again?
Right.
yeah.
I'll
When
be
we're
interested
90.
to see where this Ryu stuff goes. If you get, are you playing a bad guy now? We don't know, really.
I honestly have no idea. I told Zach I didn't want to know. He just told me that he gave me this like little script of a few words and that, you know, this would be happening with Ryu.
yeah, basically I sent him like, someone's going to say this to you. And I didn't even say the name. I said Zach, like Zach will say, I gave him a thing that said Zach will say unbound indeed. So he didn't know who it was or the context. I just told him you would be alive again. And I said, these like this is roughly what will be said to you. And you can put in what Ryu would say or something. And that's all he knew that was coming. Cause I just wanted him to be ready to speak in Ryu's voice to catch you guys off guard.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He started talking. Ryan started talking, but like there was something in my mind that was like, I see Ryan's lips moving, but
It's not his voice.
Zach, this is Zach. Zach's doing the thing right now. And it took me a second to be like, oh shoot. It was crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, and Zach, like, and don't say, oh, well, really, it's you guys. You guys make all this, dude. Awesome job with like this story because like you've done such a good job of guiding it, but not railroading it. Where like you gave us all these opportunities to create such an awesome story, and it seems like we had all the freedom. But everything that you drop in with this story, like it just keeps getting better, dude.
Mhm.
So
Oh, thanks,
Totally.
man.
very, very well done, and like super lucky to have you as our GM. Like the dude, like Caleb said, or whoever said that you don't get enough credit. You definitely don't because
Oh,
what
thanks,
a
bro.
freaking awesome
Yeah.
story.
Yeah, it is
It's-
amazing.
I mean, we've been
Honestly,
going
if
for like
I
6 or 7
could-
hours now, and like we were just as stoked. Sorry, go
For
ahead.
sure.
Yeah.
this is like the most
Like-
Taryn's ever been into downtime. We're
Dude,
8
he's,
hours
like,
into
standing
playing.
up, yeah.
He's
Also
like
Standing
and-
up.
I've been
I
sitting
don't
down
think
for
I've
like
ever
7
seen
hours, too.
Terrence stand up. No, but that's so true. Like if I had to like explain it in another way, it's like very much like a good parent in that like you let us, your kids, like make our own decisions, make our own mistakes. But like this latest episode is a great example where like we were really struggling with figuring out what to do where everyone has a valid point and there's not necessarily like a right or wrong answer, but you knowing way more than we do because parents know a lot more than their kids at least they should, knew what was best for all of us, including Tough. And so like you made that call. And so it's like Terrence said, you don't railroad, but you like help guide us when we need to be guided, when we don't have the answers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
No, for sure. Props
yeah,
to you. Props
like
to
you do it so well.
Props to you guys too, because like what a crazy point that we arrived to, where like all this conflict where everybody's justified. Usually it's like you lean one way or the other, and it's like no, I don't know. It'll be a long time before we know who's right or wrong in hindsight. You know, I don't think it's about like anybody's wrong. It's everybody's completely justified, and it created this crazy amount of conflict at like the pinnacle of this season, which is so cool. So
yeah,
cool.
I agree. Yeah, it's interesting how the decision that we made early on to make Dunadas Tough's dad, to kind of just have it be like oh shoot, Dax killed Tough's dad type thing, ended up being one of the determining factors as to whether or not Tough became keeper in that moment.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
Like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the kind of like just proof that I couldn't have possibly like mapped this out beforehand. I like my style really is like I kind of want to do something like this, and then when I get to that point, I like consider everything that's happened and like how to integrate all that. Because like even Droga was kind of like a cool idea I had, but I don't really like I made him for the Dracus story, and then I kind of wanted to tie him in, and it's like, well, he exists in this plane, and then that leads to like he's intercepting keepers in death, and then I tied it into the phylactery thing, and like and how Gotham came to be, and then it led to this justification of how Ryu could be brought back, because Ryu's body was incinerated, and like the rules of the world are basically like if there's no body, that's like an almost impossible thing to do. But with the power of Droga and Gotham, and the fact they had the Flora de Vida that creates life, and I don't know if you picked up on this, he still needed something physical of Ryu's like blood, so he has like Ryu's mother's blood to like guide the spell, is what he said. Like to let it know like who to bring back. I need like something of the bloodline.
Wow.
And he conjured
So wait, did he
Ryu from that? Zig said she put up quite a fight, but she's dead.
No, you
Wow.
killed your mom. Oh my
Oh,
god,
no.
Zach, what the heck?
Dude, he killed my mom too, bro. He killed my mom too.
No.
I literally almost just cried right there.
Dang.
Is it what?
And Zach said
Are
it
you
with like
gonna
a
come
smile.
kill
I killed your
Jules' parents?
mom, bro.
No way.
Dude.
Wow.
Zach said
There's
that
a
like
lot of parental death.
like punked.
So
Who's that
much.
dude? Who's that dude on Punked?
Ashton Kutcher.
Ashton Kutcher is like,
Mom's
you're being
dead, bro."
punked. You know, I killed
Your
your mom,
mom's
bro.
The cameras are right over there, bro. Your mom's
Dude, your mom's dead. Your mom's really dead.
Wow. Holy cow, that's insane. I was trying to piece together some of the other things that happened with that Ryu scene of like why he was bringing him back. And I was hearing him mention stuff about the Fangdom. And was it that he didn't want to side with the Fangdom? Is the Fangdom Gotham's enemy?
So basically, a couple things that were established is one, clearly Gotham and Drogo aren't like buddy completely.
Right.
Like they have varying opinions and need each other out of like mutual goals, is what it seems like. And Gotham stands up to him occasionally, but ultimately Drogo has his soul. So Gotham has to kind of like bend the knee. And at least some of what Gotham does is outside of Drogo's knowledge, because Drogo was prior like bound to Dracus, so he can't like always observe Gotham. And Gotham didn't want Zig to become Drozat, which is like the assassins that serve Droga, but have like special powers because then he belongs to Drogo. So Zig is Gotham's basically like he kind of exists outside of that. And even if you recall when he was like in Dax's origins, when Dax was like, why don't you guys use the Drozat to do this heist before you knew Gotham was even there? And they said, we don't want to draw the attention of like Oma Hatif or whatever, like the ruler of the Drozat. So like Gotham does things without Drogo knowing sometimes. And that's like kind of clear. And because yeah, he could have used the Drozat to get the Corium, but Gotham wanted the Corium, doesn't mean Drogo did. But anyways, and in the flashback or inside Tough's mind when he's talking to Raucus, he's like, what about the Elder Blade? One of the components doesn't remain, and like I can't even sustain it with Corium. So he tried to like recreate one of the components with the Corium Dax stole, is basically what he implied. And he couldn't sustain the blade. So that was like part of that. But anyway, so that was kind of established. And then also that like clearly Drogo's like, hey, let's bring back this Ryu guy because he's the Unbound and he can like destroy the Fangdom or something along those lines. Like it's your destiny to do it. But Gotham was like, are you sure you want to do this? Because Sindor wanted him to do this. And he's saying, and Sindor's on their side, meaning Sindor's known about the Ellyrium and was helping them in some way. And also meaning that Sindor and Gotham are allies. Like they were separate. And he's like, so if we do what they wanted, that can't be good. And then Drogo's like, well, we had another plan. Remember, we were going to blow up the planet. And then you traded the Flora de Vida for the Elder Blade. And he goes, so let him get it. So he's saying, so let Ryu do whatever it is the Unbound will do, and you will have the Elder Blade, is basically what he said. So that's kind of more or less what's going on there. And that's why when Gotham resurrected Ryu, he was just walking off. He's like, I don't know what magic makes you the Unbound. I don't know anything about it. I just know that if you exist, you will try and fulfill that. Like that is your purpose.
Oh, so he's not even like telling him what to do or anything. He's like, welcome back. Do your Unbound stuff. I'm out of here.
Whoa. So he's alive. Like Ryu's like legitimately
Ryu's
back
alive.
alive.
Because he had the Flora de Vida in him. He was able to do like an insane resurrection spell and bring him back without a body, and he just left you free.
Wild.
Holy
and you were under a ley line, so he's like, you can go ahead and awaken if you want. I'm out of here.
Wait.
Dang.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy guacamole. Excuse my language.
That's
and
crazy.
Ryu, even without a Kenoshi, you're the Unbound, meaning you can channel a ley line directly, and you're just standing under one.
Yeah.
Dude, what a season finale.
You didn't delete your character
The
sheet,
amount of
did you?
lore that we learned in the last episode, maybe 2 episodes, but especially the last episode. Wow.
It's getting me so excited for season 3 now.
Yeah.
I don't think I can wait for us to record again.
Yeah.
I'm pumped.
Want
for
to
it.
just keep going?
No. Exhausted.
Let's go for another 8 hours.
Not to like sympathy farm, but these episodes took a lot for me to like prepare.
I
because
bet.
I had to finalize so much lore that has always like kind of vaguely existed, and like I couldn't just be Balthazar kind of saying it from Zach's memory. Like to sound like Balthazar, I needed to put more thought into it. And like even going back to the travel plan with the Pathfinder, and like there was just like, and all of the Geldir said to you guys, like this is it just took me a long time to get this ready. So
Yeah.
I'm ready for a break too.
I love the
thank
Tom
you for doing
Bombadil
it.
vibes from Balthazar. Dude, Balthazar's awesome. I love that. I love that.
He is definitely like inspired by like Gandalf and Tom Bombadil in the sense that like
What the heck is Tom Bombadil?
I don't want you to know everything about him. Like you're not supposed to know who he is or what he is or why he is. Just that he is, if that makes sense.
Dude, that line that you said was like so poetic. Like I'm not what you. How did you say that? Can you read that again?
How can I put this simply? I am what I am, not what you see, for you see what you understand, and you cannot understand what I am. It was meant to be like something so confusing, yet made so much sense that it just was like, I guess I won't even ask, you know?
Yeah,
like
that's exactly how I felt. I was like, yeah.
He's like,
right.
I could try and tell you what I am, but you wouldn't understand. So I am what I am. Like that's
like you don't have the capacity to understand right now.
And then like I think you guys asked if he's a keeper, and he was like, I'm not a keeper. I'm something far past its time, and yours is merely beginning. And he never referred to himself as like a person. It was always like a being or a thing or his nature. It was just that like he says like his nature wouldn't allow him to kill Droga, or like his nature would not allow him to make Tough a keeper. Like just things like that. Like he's bound by something. He's kind of like a force. And
whoa,
interesting.
And like he said, he was much younger at the time when he was like fought Droga, and that was like in the time before time. So that's like thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago. And he's just like kind of just chilling, but he's not like immortal. You know, he's saying his time is coming, and you will essentially be like what Keldora has. Like you won't have like the keepers before you had a Balthazar and maybe others like him or something. But he's saying like the system is now at a state where like it doesn't. And we've also lost elder marks and things like that. So it's just, you guys are kind of all that's left. Like you truly are like the most important, most impactful keepers, which is why they couldn't get it wrong.
Yeah. Dude.
And
awesome.
I will say one last little lore thing is like Balthazar said who chose Ryu. After he chose Ryu, Gotham found his phylactery, soul cage, whatever you want to call it, and destroyed it. So the mark was stuck with Ryu. And then he's like, and Ryu's dead, so the mark is gone. So if Ryu still came back with the mark somehow, then that mark is like resurfaced potentially.
That's true.
Interesting.
And maybe Gotham knows that, probably does, but maybe it's like a necessary, like for you to be unbound is more useful than to keep a mark away from Keldora or whatever. But
GM Zach Ernesti giveth and GM Zach Ernesti taketh away.
Yeah. So man,
100%.
I had a lot of fun with that episode. Feels
That
like we've
was
been playing
awesome.
an eternity, but I'm glad that we all kept the energy going because
For sure.
I'm literally playing in a closet, like standing. So
Oof.
And,
You've been standing for
and,
8 hours?
pretty much. I brought like
Jeez.
a bar stool in here, and I sat a couple times, but it was like less comfortable than standing. So
Yeah.
Nice.
The commitment.
yeah, can't wait to see it next season. You guys are keepers. Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about. You have like a keep in space.
We do have a space keep.
Mhm.
Wasn't a lot of
Oh,
time
wow.
to decipher that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What if it's called
So the
So it's keep
keeper. He said keepers keep. I don't know. You know, I love alliteration.
Let's head
But-
back to the keep. Yes.
So
keeper.
he basically implied like the little
Tara
like,
gets it.
the little
Well
artifacts
done.
you guys got that took the shape of whatever you wanted or whatever.
Mhm.
He said like make sure Gotham doesn't take this because in the hands of a keeper it sends you to Keeper's Keep, and it seems like Keeper's Keep has a node on
It does
it.
seem like that.
So you guys can essentially not, you don't know if it's like whenever you want or whatever, but you can use it to go there, and then from there you can go to any other node essentially. So you have like this base that you can go to, and then from that base go to any other node.
Heck yeah.
See, that's so lucky too. That keeper is a completely different word from keep, like a castle, and it just
Yeah.
worked out that way.
No, that's actually the whole reason I made use the word keepers. Is
That
to-
was the
that
first
was
thought he
planted from the
had.
beginning.
Uh-huh.
I think,
and
but I
then
almost
he
kind of
built
wanted you
everything
guys
off
to
of
have
that.
this like Justice League style base that explains like how keepers can serve the whole system so fast.
I
Because
love it.
if you didn't have like an origin point you could go to then to a node, then it's like whenever like another planet's in need, you got to like journey days to the nearest node. Like you needed something to be like, get me here, and then from there I can get to any node kind of thing. And
That's
I
wild.
don't know. I really want to open up the system. I really want to see you guys go to other planets quicker and start just like doing a lot of crazy stuff in next season. And
Heck
yeah,
yeah.
I'm just pumped for that.
Dude,
So-
I'm pumped too.
I am going
Me
to miss
too.
Tuff's quips.
Well, it's not like
Mhm.
he's done,
I
right?
know.
Like he could still be in the
Yeah,
story.
I seriously don't know what the beginning of next season is going to look like. I don't know who I'm playing as.
We'll
I'm
find
sure
out.
we'll have lots
Character
of
number
text
3.
conversations
But we
about
won't
it.
find out now
Character number 3.
because we're
He's
going on
got
break.
two. He's got two out there already, but let's have him make them.
Yeah, throw another one
We've
in.
had
Let's
2
have him
characters.
also be like
But
the
what
one in the
about
party
third
that has a problem
character?
with everybody.
Steve,
But if there's
the
one
human
person who could
human.
play 3 characters, yeah, and now they're all alive. Like if there's one person that could play all 3 characters in the same universe that are alive, it's Ryan.
Thanks, Tellwell.
But he still plays less than all of you.
Yeah.
well, but now that you say that, I was going to say, feel free to use this as ammo for anyone that says you don't like Ryan
Yeah,
playing.
true.
He's got 2 characters.
True.
It's twice
Yeah.
as many as
Mhm.
I have, by my math.
Double.
Well, guys, it's been a good season. Do you want to figure out what happens in the next season?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Too bad. We're going on break.
Can we take a nap
It's Thursday.
first?
Ah, all right.
We'll figure it out later. Cool. And we will see you next season.
Bye-bye.
Mortal.
Immortals, 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 immortals.